Hey, what is going on, everybody? We have the first week of the NFL season upon us. Tomorrow is the first game versus the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. I'm pumped for the season to finally be starting. So today I wanted to do a NFL Week 1 prediction video. Basically go through every single NFL game that is on this week, 16 games in total, and give my pick, my team that I think will win this game, sort of give the reason why I think they will win this game. I will likely do this every week during the NFL season. So if you guys are new here, you haven't subscribed, you want to see more NFL content, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. I also put out lots of Packers content because I'm a Packers fan, as you can tell. So if you want to see that kind of stuff, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. So first off, we're going to start off with the Cowboys and Buccaneers game that is happening tomorrow night. Maybe you're watching this after the game happens. We'll see, what the result of this is. But first off, we have Dak Prescott coming back off of injury from last season for this Dallas Cowboys team, coming in and having to face the Super Bowl champions, one of the best defenses in the NFL, and Tom Brady. So definitely not, if you're Dak sitting at home after going through this injury, trying to wait for the schedule to come out, trying to see, who am I going to face? Hopefully it's an easy team to start off with. You get the complete opposite. You get one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL, considering they just won the Super Bowl. So Dak Prescott has to come in here. And not only is he, fresh off of this injury, he's dealt with some more injuries during the training camp as well. He is also without probably the best lineman on this Cowboys team in guard, Zach Martin, who is out because I think COVID protocol. So he is missing him as well. Facing off against this defensive front with the Buccaneers with Pierre-Paul, Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, and Ndamukong Suh. So I don't think this is going to be a very pretty game for the Cowboys just when you sort of take a look at, the Buccaneers defense against this, this offensive line that is missing, one of the key contributors. And then, of course, when you have Tom Brady on the other side with the weapons, Mike Evans, I think Chris Godwin is going to be playing. It's just going to be tough, I think, for this Cowboys team. I do think this Cowboys team, if they want to stay in this, will have to pass the ball to be able to keep up with this Buccaneers team. I do have Amari Cooper on my fantasy team, so I'll be watching this game hoping that, Dak just sits all day, throws, bombs to Amari Cooper. So I think the Buccaneers are going to win this game. I don't think you guys will think I'm crazy because of that. So first game, we got Buccaneers winning this one. Next game, moving on to the Seahawks at the Indianapolis Colts. So we have Russell Wilson facing off against Carson Wentz. I saw earlier today that Carson Wentz is going to be playing in this game for Indianapolis. The thing is with this, of course, Carson Wentz is, new to this Colts team. So he's having to, learn everything that's going on there in Indianapolis. Then he has dealt with a foot injury. He had surgery in the past month. So personally, I think Carson Wentz is going to come in here and he's going to be rusty. He's going to be, I don't think he's going to look too great considering he's been dealing with his foot injury. He's had surgery. He's on a new team. And then he's facing off against a guy in Russell Wilson, who I think is still one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. The Seahawks also brought in offensive coordinator Shane Waldron, who I really think is going to allow this Seahawks passing offense to really, flourish this season. And so I just think that Russell Wilson, with the weapons he has, and Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, is going to overpower this Colts defense, even though they do have some solid, options there on defense. But I don't think Carson Wentz is going to have a great game. Obviously, the Colts, with Jonathan Taylor, have a solid running back group there. But I think overall, the Seahawks are going to take this one. Russell Wilson is going to carry the Seahawks to victory against the Colts. So I'm giving this game to the Seahawks. Now moving on, we have the Jaguars at the Texans. Two of the worst teams in the NFL last season. Of course, the Jaguars coming and getting Trevor Lawrence. If you're Trevor Lawrence, sitting back waiting for the schedule to be released, you have to be pumped, when you see the Texans as a first team that you have to face, probably one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And so, just that fact that the Texans have a terrible defense, obviously Trevor Lawrence is he is a rookie, and so I think he's going to take some time to obviously get to his peak level in the NFL, maybe a season, maybe a few seasons. But I still think his talent, with the options they have there at wide receiver, bring in Marvin Jones from the Lions, a great addition. Also, you got Laviska Shenault, who I think is going to be a solid wide receiver option this year. I think that the Jaguars have enough talent on offense to put up more points than this Texans team. The Texans are starting Tyrod Taylor, of course, Deshaun Watson. That entire situation, he's not playing. And I think Tyrod Taylor, he's not a solid quarterback. He's an average quarterback. He can move on his feet a little bit. He can be a little sneaky at times. So I don't think this Jaguars defense is great either. So I think it's it may not be the most fun game to watch when it comes to, good games, I guess you could say. But I do think the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence is going to win his first game. The Jaguars are going to pull this one off against the Houston Texans. Now moving on, we have the Eagles at the Falcons. So Jalen Hurts facing off against Matt Ryan. So taking a look at this Falcons defense last year, they were the 19th ranked scoring defense in the NFL. They also have a pretty weak edge rushing group. Dante Fowler last year ranked 102nd according to PFF, and their other guy, I think it's Mariner. I might have typed that wrong. I don't know. He was the 99th ranked defensive edge player in the NFL last season. So I think this Eagles offense is going to be able to put up some points against this Falcons defense that honestly I don't think is that great. Also, when you have the Eagles bringing in first-round wide receiver Devontae Smith, I think that's obviously a great addition. Also, you got Jalen Reagor over there. And then I think when you just add Jalen Hurts' rushing ability, I think that he's going to be able to, move the ball against this Falcons defense. Then, of course, taking a look at the Falcons offense, I think they have a very, very, very talented offense over there. Of course, losing Julio Jones, but they have Calvin Ridley, who is one of the probably top 5, top 10 wide receiver now in the NFL. Then also you bring in, one of the best tight end prospects in a long time in Kyle Pitts. Then, of course, you got Matt Ryan there. So I think this offense for the Falcons is still very talented. The only problem with them coming into this game, they will be having to start their rookie guard, Jalen Mayfield, because their starting guard, Josh Andrews, broke his hand last week, was sent to the IR. So that's a little worrisome. You have a rookie there at guard. And then also they have their center who is starting, Matt Hennessy, a young guy. He had a 47 grade last year according to PFF, so not very good. So two pretty weak links, I'd say, at least for the first week on this Falcons team, on this Falcons offensive line. And then when you add in the fact that, the Eagles have a great edge rusher in Brandon Graham, also Fletcher Cox, probably one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL in the past few seasons, the past few years. I think that the Falcons line will struggle a little bit in this game. So I'm going to give this game to the Eagles. I think Jalen Hurts will do enough to, beat this Falcons defense. And I think that even though the Falcons will put up points in this game, I think they'll struggle a little bit just when it comes to protecting Matt Ryan in this game. So I'm going Eagles with this one. Now moving on to the 5th game of the week, we got Chargers at the Washington football team. So Justin Herbert facing off against a veteran in Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I bet, could almost be like Justin Herbert's dad just when it comes to age, but that is not very important. The thing with the football team is, of course, they have probably one of the best young defenses in the NFL. And taking a look at the Chargers, obviously Brandon Staley coming in here. The Chargers really did a lot to bolster their offensive line this year, bringing in Packers Corey Linsley, which is sad for me to see him go from the Packers. But anyways, also drafting Rashawn Slater. So I do think this Chargers O-line will be better than last season. But still, this Washington football team's defense is pretty stacked, pretty talented. And then when you take a look at the football team's offense, upgrading Ryan Fitzpatrick, I'd say, is an upgrade to Alex Smith. You have Terry McLaurin, also Curtis Samuel, I think 2 solid receivers. And then you have Antonio Gibson, who I think coming into his second season here with the football team is going to have a great year, especially when it comes to his receiving ability. So I think this game could be a close one. I think this could be a really fun game to watch, just because I do think the Chargers will be a great team this year. But I'm going to say that the football team is going to be able to, put up enough on offense against this Chargers defense, in the Washington football team's defense will hold Justin Herbert in check just enough to pull off the victory. So I'm going Washington football team to win this game. Now moving on, we have the Steelers at the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen versus Ben Roethlisberger. So last season, the Steelers defense was ranked as the 3rd best defense in 2020 when it comes to scoring allowed. So I think it will be a tough task for Josh Allen and this Bills offense. But when you think about Josh Allen, he has Stephon Diggs, he has Emmanuel Sanders now as well, and Cole Beasley. I do think the Bills will still move the ball a lot just because Josh Allen, probably one of the most talented quarterbacks in the NFL now at this time. Top 3, top 5 quarterback, depending, on who you ask. So even though the Steelers do have a great defense, I think the Bills are going to be able to put up points on this team. Of course, the Steelers come in and draft Najee Harris in the first round. They still have a very bad offensive line, so honestly, I may have drafted an offensive lineman. Maybe that's not as exciting as drafting Harris, but still, I do think Harris will be a great running back this season, but I just don't know if this Steelers offense is going to be good enough to put up enough points against this Bills defense. So I'm going Josh Allen beating the Steelers, and that is at home for the Bills. So I think that's another mark for the Bills. So I'm going Bills in this one, beating Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now moving on to the 49ers at Lions. Honestly, do I need to say much about this game? I don't think so. I mean, you got Jared Goff over there in Detroit now. The thing is, they literally have no weapons. Like, I have trouble remembering one receiver on the Detroit Lions. Of course, they have TJ Hawkinson, who I think is a solid tight end. But just the fact, the Lions are in a rebuild. There's just really nothing going for the Lions right now. Really nothing going. Also, your first round pick really struggled in the preseason. So definitely a lot of rebuilding going on there with Dan Campbell. Maybe, in 5, 10, 30 years they'll be fine. But at least now, I think they're going to have a little bit of trouble. Plus, you got the 49ers, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. Good luck, Lions. 49ers win this one. Now moving on, Vikings at the Bengals. So last season, one stat I found, the Bengals run defense allowed the 4th most yards last season, and they were facing off against one of the best running backs in the NFL in Dalvin Cook. So that's a little worrisome if I'm a Bengals fan. Watching Dalvin Cook run all over me is probably something I'm going to worry about as this game comes up. The Vikings, I think, do have, a lot of firepower on offense when it comes to Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. Kirk Cousins he's not, top 10 quarterback, but I still say he's, mid-tier quarterback, and I think he can at least get the job done for this Vikings team. So definitely a lot to, look out for on this Vikings offense. The thing is, though, I do think Joe Burrow is going to have a good season after coming back from injury. You also bring in Jamar Chase to this team, who Burrow does have history with. Of course, Chase did deal with drops in this preseason, but I feel like he's going to get over that whole, figure things out eventually. So I do think Joe Burrow is going to outduel Kirk Cousins. The Vikings are going to try to run the ball a lot. They'll probably run the ball a lot, and Dalvin Cook will have a great game, which he has most times. But I think Joe Burrow is going to come in here and, really put up some numbers against the Vikings. So I'm going Bengals in this one. Bengals beating the Minnesota Vikings. Now moving on, we got Jets at Panthers. Sam Darnold facing off against his former team. I think Sam Darnold's probably going to come in here. He probably is going to be a little bit, what's the word? He's going to be fired up to face his former team who let him go. And he's probably wanting to prove to them, I still have what it takes. I'm still a good quarterback in the NFL. So I think he's going to come in here and have a solid game against Zach Wilson. This game is at home for the Panthers. Zach Wilson, being a rookie, his first game ever on the road. I just don't think that this could be the best game for Zach Wilson. I think he will have a solid career in the NFL, but I think, with him being a rookie, he's going to take time to develop. Plus, the Jets just really don't have, the greatest team around him. That's sort of what you get when you have, a top draft pick. You're not going to have the greatest team around you, obviously, because you were terrible the year before. So I think he'll struggle at times. Plus, the Panthers have Christian McCaffrey, best running back in the NFL. So I'm giving the Panthers this one. Sam Darnold going to come in there and show the Jets what they're missing now. Now we're moving on to the Cardinals at the Titans. Ryan Tannehill versus Kyler Murray. So, of course, the Cardinals did come in here and bring in J.J. Watt. I was sort of hoping the Packers would decide to bring him in. That may have not made much sense when it comes to the salary cap, but still, you want a guy like J.J. Watt on your team. But outside of J.J. Watt, if you take a look at this Cardinals defensive line, there was no other guy that ranked above 73rd when it came to PFF grade for defensive linemen. So, outside of J.J. Watt, I think this Cardinals line will struggle at times. And then when you factor in that they are playing Derrick Henry, one of the best running backs in the NFL, plus you have A.J. Brown and Julio Jones on this offense with Ryan Tannehill, I think this Titans offense is going to be very tough to stop this year, just because if you're planning to stop Derrick Henry, you're going to get beat by A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. If you're trying to contain A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, Derrick Henry will run all over you. And so I think that's what's going to happen in this game. I think that the Titans offense is going to do very well in this game versus the Cardinals. Of course, I think Kyler Murray is a great young quarterback, but I just don't think they have enough to beat this Titans team. So I'm going Titans in this one. Now moving on, we have the Browns at the Chiefs. So looking at this game, I'm honestly sort of sad for the Browns that the first game they have is against the Chiefs, because I really think the Browns have one of the best teams in the NFL, especially when it comes to defense. I'd say they're a top 1, 2, or 3 defense this season, just when you take a look at the guys they have. Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney on the outside. They also added safety from the Rams, John Johnson III. They have Denzel Ward and rookie Greg Newsome at corner. I think this Browns defense, once they have some time, I think, to mesh and get together after a few games, I think they will be one of the best defenses in the NFL. But the fact that they are facing off against Patrick Mahomes, one of the best the best quarterback at this time probably, having to defend against Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, all these guys, I think it will be tough, for any defense in the NFL to play against Patrick Mahomes. But I think that the Browns will have trouble against Patrick Mahomes. I'm honestly hoping the Browns can beat the Chiefs because I would just love to see that. But the fact that the Chiefs are at home, Patrick Mahomes has still never lost a game in September. I think it's going to be tough for Baker Mayfield to outduel Patrick Mahomes in this one. The thing is, though, the Browns do have a solid offensive line. Two of the, probably the best running back duo in the NFL, one of the best running back duos in the NFL, and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Plus Odell is back for the Browns. So I think this Browns team is very, very talented. And honestly, if this game was in Cleveland, I may honestly pick the Browns. But just, having Patrick Mahomes at home, I think it's going to be tough for the Browns to beat the Chiefs. But I do think this could be closer than some people think. So I am going to stick with the Chiefs on this one, even though I sort of hope that Baker Mayfield could somehow beat the Chiefs in this game. Now moving on, we have the Dolphins at the Patriots. This is a fun one because we have Tua versus Mac Jones. And the main reason for my decision on who I think is going to win this game just has to do with the fact that Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest coach of all time, has had the entire offseason the past few weeks to prepare for a young QB in Tua Tagovailoa. And also the Dolphins seem recently to not be maybe super high on Tua, considering they're sort of shopping around for Deshaun Watson. So I think the fact that you have Bill Belichick here, I think he's going to sort of be like a chess master, sort of outsmart the other team as he typically does. And I do think having Mac Jones here, obviously he is a rookie, but I sort of just feel like he's going to have a good game. It is a solid Dolphins defense, but I'm going to go with Belichick here and say Belichick figures out how to beat the Dolphins. I think he probably figured it out. He probably already knows right now that he's just going to completely shut out the Dolphins. It's just probably true. So I'm going with the Patriots in this one. Now moving on, we have a few games left. First off, we got Broncos at the New York Giants. Teddy Bridgewater versus Daniel Jones. Probably not the best quarterbacks in the NFL. If the Broncos had a good quarterback this season, like Aaron Rodgers, which, thank you for not stealing Aaron Rodgers away from me. But if the Broncos had a good quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks, then obviously they'd be probably one of the best teams in the NFL just because their defense is so good. So I do think this will be a defensive battle because these two quarterbacks aren't the best. The Giants do have one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. And so I think the Broncos defense is going to wreak havoc on this Giants team and going to sack Daniel Jones at least, 5 times. Maybe not that many times, but they're going to sack him a few times. The Giants do have a solid interior with Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence, so I do think they will get to Teddy Bridgewater a good amount. The Broncos do have some solid weapons on the offensive side, so Teddy Bridgewater does have that going for him. But I think this Broncos defense is going to outperform the Giants and beat them in this one. So I'm going Broncos winning this game. Then we have my favorite game of the week, Packers at Saints. Makes sense why it's my favorite game of the week. I did put out an entire 10-minute video breaking down this game on my channel, so if you want to see the whole one, you can go check that out after this video. But the main thing about this game, we have Jameis Winston, of course, coming in here, starting for the New Orleans Saints with Drew Brees, of course, retiring. The thing is, they're without Michael Thomas, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Outside of him, they do have Marquez Callaway, who I think will be a solid wide receiver. But outside of him, they just really don't have many options when it comes to receiver on offense. So I think when you add the fact that this is Jameis Winston's first time starting in a long time, with the fact that he doesn't have many weapons, I think it's going to be tough for Jameis Winston, and he'll make some mistakes like he used to make. They do have Kamara, though, and that is the one thing I am worried about for this Packers defense is Kamara, because the last time we faced him, he received the ball for, 139 yards and 2 touchdowns last season. So that is a little worrisome for me. But I think that Aaron Rodgers and this Packers offense is going to be one of the best in the NFL this season, and so I think the Packers will put up points as they did last year against the Saints. They put up 37 points. I think something like that will happen again, and the Packers will come in here. I think my score prediction yesterday was 34-21 or 24, something like that on my video yesterday. So I think the Packers win this game just because you got Aaron Rodgers. Is there anything more I need to say? Not really. I don't think so. Okay, so now 2 more games here. We have the Bears at the Rams. Andy Dalton versus Matthew Stafford. After looking at this game, I think it makes more sense why Matt Nagy would decide to sit Justin Fields, because the Rams are going to destroy whoever is in at quarterback. They did lose a couple defensive pieces on this defense, also their defensive coordinator, but you still got Aaron Donald, you still got Jalen Ramsey, and I think the Rams are still one of the best defenses in the NFL, maybe top 5, top 10 defense this season. And so I just don't think the Bears have much of a shot here. You also have, this is at home for the Rams, Matthew Stafford's first ever game in a Rams uniform. I think he's going to come out and perform very well He's got weapons in Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. The Rams probably have a top 10 offensive line. So I think the Rams are going to come out here and win by double digits in this game. And after this game, Bears fans will be calling up Matt Nagy nonstop, telling him to put in Justin Fields. Just get ready for the Bears fans to pile in. If I was a Bears fan, honestly, I would be in the same boat. I want Justin Fields to start if I was a Bears fan because I think he has a higher ceiling. But at the same time, it makes sense, though, that, Matt Nagy wouldn't want to throw Justin Fields in here to the Wolves in his first game of the season. So I saw that the Bears are playing the Lions, I think, week 4. Some people are saying maybe that's when Justin Fields starts. So maybe he can come in there, versus the Lions and have a pretty easy time, I guess, against the Lions defense that's not very good. So my pick for that one is the Los Angeles Rams. Now for the final game, we got the Monday Night Football game of the week. We got Ravens at Raiders, Lamar Jackson versus Derek Carr. So taking a look at the Raiders' defense last season, they were one of the worst defenses in the NFL, allowing around 30 points per game. They did add former Pro Bowlers Yannick Ngakoue as well as Gerald McCoy, so I do think the Raiders' defense will be better, but I do not think this Raiders' defense will be able to handle the rushing attack that the Ravens do have with Lamar Jackson. Of course, the Ravens lost J.K. Dobbins, but I think this Ravens offense is still going to dominate the Raiders' defense. You have Derek Carr, who's been, I'd say, a pretty solid quarterback. I think, honestly, he's a little underrated just because it's just not that fun, I guess, to talk about the Raiders too often. There are other guys you would rather talk about. But I just don't think that the Raiders are going to put up enough points to beat this Ravens' powerful rushing attack. So I'm going with the Ravens on that one. So that is all my NFL predictions for week 1. Thank you guys. If you watched this entire thing, thank you very much. And if you want to see more content, make sure you guys subscribe. Drop a like on the video. It really helps just push the video out to more people in that YouTube algorithm. I will be out with more videos as always. Also, if you haven't followed me on social media, there are my 2 right there. I probably post more on Twitter, Instagram a little less just because, it's just, yeah. Anyways, but that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching if you watched this entire time. It's probably been one of my longer videos, so thank you for sticking around, but I will see you guys on the next one.